Oh my God, Mitch, I'm sorry. I was just so surprised to see you standing there.
Not as surprised as I was.
You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at.
CJ, it's beautiful up here. You're gonna love it, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful, but I miss the beach. You should come back to Baywatch.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna start. I'm starting now. Oh, I heard a weird sound. It was a. Okay. Welcome, Baywatch, Baywatchers, Bay listener. We're back. Here is our podcast, still titled Baywatch. We're starting again. I'm Andrew, and I'm here with.
I'm Bill.
I'm Bill.
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 My name's Bill.
I just.
Bill Fergus.
Oh, you're the guy from the last.
And you need
one.
to emphasize the watch.
Baywatch.
Yes, we
Bill
are
came up-
watching
Bill suggested the
Baywatch.
name.
It's a show where you watch Baywatch and talk about it.
And this is a podcast where we're workshopping the
That's
intro.
the premise.
Yeah. That's good.
This is the first episode of the Baywatch podcast.
The Baywatch podcast where we've actually watched some Baywatch. Because last time
And
we
now
just
we're going to
talked
talk about it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you though, because another, Bill came up with the podcast name. He came up with our segment that we're doing. The segment is, well, that pilot came out that me and Bill watched on April 23rd, 1989. But on April 23rd, 1989, a man named William Sokolin was not watching the Baywatch pilot. No. He was in Manhattan at the Four Seasons restaurant at an exclusive dinner for wealthy enophiles. Enophiles, Bill, that's right. Enophiles. They're trafficking all kinds of shit, doing it out of this restaurant in Manhattan. I'm not telling our listeners to go there and stop these enophiles, Bill. I'm not suggesting anyone to go to this restaurant with cameras or guns or document what's going on at this eatery, okay? I'm not saying anyone should go and do that, I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying God would. And Bill, have you ever heard of these pesky enophiles? You know what an enophile is? It's not a pedophile.
I got
It's a
that.
weird thing.
But I do think now that it probably is related to pedophiles, or I would say at least the people who are pedophiles are into xenophiles. If you're into one, you're probably into the other.
You're saying
right?
xenophile, yeah, but it's enophile. It's like it's a weird
Eno.
spelling. It's O.
Like Brian Eno? Like
Yeah,
Brian
sounds
Eno.
it
Okay,
sounds like that.
enophile.
But it starts with an O. It's weird. But you're close though. Maybe pedophiles will be also enophiles because it's wine drinkers. I mean, I don't know. This is not a pedophile podcast. I don't know. But if you're, having a little wine.
Okay, so that whole time you spent just to tell us that the word enophile means someone who drinks wine a lot.
Yeah, that was a long intro for this guy named William Sokolin, who's an enophile, who on April 23rd, 1989, the day the Baywatch podcast pilot came out, not podcast pilot, the Baywatch pilot came out, he was not watching. He was at Four Seasons. He really was. At an enophile event. It's like a wine drinker event, right? And
Okay.
Let me go back to my script here. So okay, he's at here's this guy, our man William. He's at this it's a dinner for wine appreciation. So they're celebrating like the chateau of something from 1986 that is coming out. Now everyone's loving it.
Enophiles.
All these enophiles,
Okay.
yeah. And this guy William, he's a bit of a showboat, right? So he brought like his best bottle of wine to the event just to like have it there to like for people to look at, And it was a 1787. Yeah, 1787 bottle of a Chateau Margaux.
Damn, that is so old.
Yeah, and it was said to belong to Thomas Jefferson. It was supposedly found in a Paris cellar in 1985, and it was said to belong to him. But
Oh my God! So this guy's getting so much Eno pussy at this
oh
party.
my God, right? And he's got the Thomas Jefferson
Like, I
bottle.
mean, he's probably just like the toast of the toast of the party. I bet.
Right?
Pun,
Yeah.
okay.
Wine pun. I love it. You're a punophile. But you know, so he's got this bottle, right? Yeah, he's there. He's getting all the enophile pussy, like you're saying, or butthole. And he was gonna sell it though, dude. Like he wanted to sell this bottle for $519,750.
Okay.
You know, half a million bucks. Yeah. He wanted to sell it. But that night, he's getting rowdy. You know, he's trying to impress all these girls. He bumps into a table that his wine is sitting on, smashes the bottle. Like, it knocks, it falls and knocks two big holes in this wine bottle. It falls to the ground, spills all the wine on the ground. They said it looked like a murder scene. The wine spilled out, leaving a blood-red stain on the carpet that evoked homicide. Fellow enophiles were aghast. "I've committed murder," Williams said to a New York Times reporter a few hours later. "That's not possible," he said. "I went to the table. I told two people. I broke the bottle. I'm going home." And bang, I went home. That was his quote. It was a weird quote. Like, he's like, I just imagine him like walking
Very
up to this
abrupt
table.
way of that's like a data. He's like stating facts of what had already happened.
Yeah. I went up. I told him I broke the bottle. I'm going home. Bam, I'm going home. It's like cut
And
to
then
me in
I'm
my
going
car.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
he's
did it.
narrating it in like a very short, like Hemingway style.
But as he was leaving, several bystanders dipped their fingers into the broken puddle, you know, or the broken wine bottle's puddle. He took the bottle, you know,
Okay.
but they dipped their fingers in, and it was pronounced. I like it. This is how it's written in the article I read, like as if it was a murder scene again. Like the wine was pronounced like unpalatable, you know. It was gosh, where did it go? Oh, the residue was pronounced unpalatable, concluding that it had deteriorated over the long years. And I was like, yeah, I wonder how it tasted. Probably, I wonder if it would taste like shit.
It didn't taste good, huh?
Didn't taste good.
Huh.
But it's not. Story's not over. Mr. Solican, William, he put the damaged bottle up for auction at Gurney's auction house. An auctioneer, here's the day that it happened. An auctioneer's lifting the bottle from a velvet box, a velvet case. And William's in the audience. He conspicuously leaps to his feet. He grabs the bottle, and he's said to have muttered, I'll do that. So he wanted to take the bottle out of the velvet because he's traumatized about it, like breaking or anyone knocking it. You know, he doesn't want it any more broken.
Well,
So
why does he want to be around it then?
I don't know. It's his curse. Now he's trying to sell it, and he's hoping now that he can sell it for like $30,000. That's where the bidding begins, right? So the auctioneer starts the bid, $30,000.
Can I ask? I feel like for context, I have to ask one thing.
Huh.
Now, before he put this broken bottle on auction,
Yeah.
was this like a big story? Was it like a really big story about this wine aficionado who
Yes.
broke his like fortune, his life bottle of wine, like
Yes,
$500,000
It
bottle?
totally overshadowed the Baywatch pilot. Everyone was talking about it.
Everyone was talking about it. So it was a big story. Like
was a
Jay
big
Leno was
story.
joking about it.
Jay.
Okay. So what?
Jay. Yeah, I just said Jay. Yeah.
Okay, so Jay's joking, doing his all the late night hosts are talking about it. Arsenio, all
Yeah.
of them.
Presidential address mentions it. Yeah.
Yeah, Sanders, all of them.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Larry Sanders.
That was the history. Yeah, I'm moving. The auction did not actually occur.
Okay. So
on the same
now
day.
that makes sense to me. So okay,
Yeah.
so that makes sense. So he's
It is
hoping that he can
supplemental.
now capitalize off of his own misfortune.
Yes,
Turn
yeah.
to make some lemonade out of his lemons. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was gonna make a shitload of lemonade, and then like he knocked over the barrel of lemons, and they all went rolling down the highway, and now he's just trying to make a little bit of lemonade, right? Like, you know what I mean? Because he was
with
gonna
what
make.
he found.
Yeah, he was
With the
gonna make
lemons he
like
found.
he gathered some, and then tried to make a little bit more
No,
lemonade.
it's a little different because like I mean, who knows? It could
Because he was gonna make
it
$500,000
might sell for even more. Let's see. Finish the story, Drew.
Well, you know, he's like, all right, hopefully, like, I'll make some money. I'm gonna start the bidding at $30,000. The auctioneer goes, all right, 30,000, I have 30,000. What happened? And the auctioneer's talking for a long time, and then no one says anything. It's crickets. Then he's like, all right, well, what about 10,000? The auctioneer says 10,000.
Going down.
Going down, like 5,000. Like,
Oh, no.
finally, somebody yelled, "I'll give you $100 for it. I'll give you $100 for it." They specified in the article like that they were like Southern. You know. And then they all I
Southern,
read,
man.
it cuts. The article just cuts from there, that imagery, to the family said that he donated the unsold bottle to the Save the Children international relief organization. Like he donated the bottle that maybe was only worth $100 to like Save the Kids Relief Foundation. And that's the story of William Sorkin and what happened to him famously on the same day that the Baywatch pilot.
You know what that is? Now that is publicity too. That donation, I fucking am annoyed with that.
Yeah.
I think very little of this man now.
I'm quoting it from an obituary, so maybe they were trying to make. That was the last part. Maybe they wanted it to sound good. Like, oh, there's one good.
Exactly. Well, okay. So maybe it wasn't him who did it, but it's like, no, the fact that he did that is still annoying. I'm still pissed at him because it's like, dude, you make the $100, then you donate the $100, but that doesn't get in the news. What gets in the news is if you donate the thing to then go for the profits to go to this thing. But now it's like the charity's got to go and auction this, go find someone to sell it, to buy it for $100,
right?
Or for like whatever money the charity is able to recoup. They're probably gonna have to spend like in resources, some staff member putting it on eBay, which they didn't even have back then in '91. So what, you're gonna go to? I mean, come on, dude, what a fucking dick move.
It's a shitty story. Yeah.
Okay,
It's like...
so this asshole got what he deserved, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right,
and
he lost his $500,000.
He lost $500,000. He lost he lost the bottle, the history, and then it turns out that then.
And this is what everyone was talking about in 1991.
David Hasselhoff was so frustrated. He was just like, "Didn't you see me? Like, we made it slow. We made my running slow so you wouldn't miss it, and you missed it because this guy's bottle."
Wait, I said 91. Did you say the pilot came out in 91 or
no? It was 89. Yeah, April 23rd, 1989. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
At the end of the day, too.
So this is.
They didn't even know if that bottle was Thomas Jefferson's. By the way, at the end of the day.
Really?
They were like, oh, well, it's actually disputed if that's even his bottle. So it might have just been a really old bottle.
Yeah, that's the thing with antiques. Yeah. I mean, you can get certifications all day long, but they only
nothing really happened. So much, a lot of shit happened that day that I was like, oh, Bill would like this, because all of it was like, this guy like hit he pitched a no-hit game until the 9th inning. And I was like, okay. Like, that'll be funny to talk about, I guess.
That happens all the time. That's not like, I mean, if he did it on acid.
There's a lot of baseball shit.
You heard that story.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's cool. I like the baseball shit, maybe.
It's also the time of Taurus. I was going to
say What?
The time of Taurus. That show came out in the time of Taurus. That's our astrological sign.
Oh, yes. I was going to say, you know what else came out that same year? What show that also ran for a very, very long time and was very popular and actually is still running today? Can you think of a show that might have started?
Simpsons.
1989. Yep. It's still running. 1989. Simpsons is already doing shorts on the Tracy Ullman show. So there's shows like The Simpsons on. I think Roseanne was another really big network hit. At this time,
you're building up.
It was like the number one show in 1989, perhaps.
Next Gen,
one of the number one shows.
Cheers.
Next Gen. Cheers is huge. Yes. So this is the TV landscape that Baywatch is emerging into.
Right
now,
I believe.
And what I guess Columbo was on, like Diagnosis Murder. So those are the kind of like the more serial dramas that are on. Okay, and then comes on a show about a couple of lifeguards.
And I missed I missed my joke, and maybe we can workshop it. But I had some joke, and I just see the note, and I can't really know. But it was like, and that was how the pilot was christened, like a bottle of 1797 Chateau Margaux. You know, like how big ships are christened with a bottle of champagne. You break that shit on there. This guy, it's a loose connection, anyway. You did say that you're talking about all those other shows.
That's a horrible tie-in.
I know. This show was the most watched show, like Guinness Book of World Records. We failed to mention that last time. It was like billions of viewers.
Wait a minute. The pilot for this show?
No. But Baywatch. We're focusing on the pilot now.
Yes.
But I just wanted to bring that. I forgot about that.
Baywatch. Yeah, that makes sense. But not the pilot. Like, now I'd be curious to see what we'll have to maybe look this up Okay, later we'll look this up and we'll slice it in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just sliced it in. Boom, good. Now, but seriously, I'd want to look up what the ratings were compared to other shows that aired that night or that week
Yeah.
for the pilot.
Yeah.
I wish
I should
we'll
have
have
done
to,
that.
Yeah, we'll put
Yeah.
that in there.
Yeah,
Now you've
we'll put
already
it in.
heard it.
Yeah. So now we're talking about just what
Anyways,
our
like-
experience of watching this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Drew, before we get into the show, which
Yeah.
we watched together, I was pretty high.
Yeah,
Drew was a
me
little
too.
high.
I was drinking.
And
high. My notes got very
before we get
unreadable.
into the whole pilot, which was like a movie, really, it was like a whole
Yeah.
movie length, and it really,
Yeah.
it really felt like a movie. I was just gonna say, before we get into like the chronological, like from the beginning, let's maybe just do a kind of how we felt.
Yeah.
You know, for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
So like, because it kind of did feel like a movie.
Yeah.
More than like a pilot of a television show, but it also felt nothing like a movie
Right.
in that it had all of the qualities of like a movie or good movie were not there.
Yeah.
Like
I
it
think
didn't have a main character, like stuff like that we talked about. The plot really, the inciting incident didn't happen until like an hour. I forget. We jotted it down. It was like
it
an
says halfway
hour
through.
in, and the inciting incident happens.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And there's a bunch of different people you don't know who to follow. And I think a lot of my criticism comes from that, because I was like, we're gonna watch the Baywatch movie, and then like it's the beginning, and I get mad at it because it's not cohesive or it doesn't feel whole. But then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, well, maybe is this just like them? Like, well, this idea might work, this idea might work, this idea might work, because they just want to entice people to be interested in this world, like maybe it is supposed to just feel like a bunch of random shit that you might want to visit every week, You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
what it
and that's
felt
what
like.
it almost didn't feel like a movie for an audience, like,
Yeah.
that's like typically it almost felt like a movie for an audience of studio execs trying.
Right.
Yeah, it seemed like a pitch to
A pitch,
them, like,
yeah.
like, hey, look
A
at some
long
of this
pitch.
cinematography, look at these music videos almost on the beach, and
Yeah.
then like, look, we can have a character that's a lawyer, we could have a character that is a youngster, we could have a character that deals with teenage drama.
Yeah.
And like, it's just, yeah, it was like, and none of them were ever developed really, or it was just like little glimpses of, we could do this.
Yeah. I think you could still do
Yeah, it
what
was very
they
unsatisfying.
did. Yeah, and I think it could still be done like better. Like it was bad. Like there, you know what I mean? Like it's.
Oh yeah,
I'm not.
You could have
I'm
done
not-
a pitch movie to executives that still had like a cohesive, compelling storyline.
Yeah.
But
was-
yeah,
It was pretty
yeah,
terrible.
that showed you a range of what the show could do.
Yeah.
But that's not really happening here. And it didn't really feel like there was a range of what the show could do. Even it was like really just like, oh, so they're just gonna be on the beach and like rescue some people and have a little bit of inner work drama, coworker drama. Okay.
Right. And
Yes,
it'll be
that's-
like every
all right.
type of show that you might want to see. Like if you want to watch a soap opera, that's there. If you want to like watch like an action cop, like that's there. If you want to watch like a family show, a family sitcom, that's there. If you want to see some fucking
Yeah, I
boobs,
guess-
boobs are there.
Oh yeah. Oh, the boobs. We'll get to the boobs for sure. Some definitely full exposure there.
Yeah. Well,
Interesting. Yeah, not expecting.
before I
But
had
yeah,
all
there was. You're right. I guess in that sense, it was very diverse in its genre, in like what it was appealing to.
I think the only thing it
But
didn't
it
have
just-
was like a little bit of like witchcraft or something sort of you know what I mean? Like we didn't see any sort of mystical like
Right,
fantasy element,
It stayed on the beach though the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't think it really veered off the beach. Did we get much settings outside the beach?
There was like a party scene. You get like at like Mitch's house. You
Yeah,
see
the
some shit at
party
Mitch's
scene that was
house.
like it was like somehow connected to the beach though. It was like in a pool. It was like an
Yeah.
indoor pool party.
I don't know
it
if we
was
talked
really
about
cool.
this at the first time. I think I tried to like say it really quick while we were watching the movie, but we were also watching and talking about other things. So, but like I heard that like he modeled the whole. I don't know if it was for the pilot, but like he modeled the Greg guy, our guy Greg from the lifeguard,
the showrunner and creator who we believe is
writing his own
whole show is
Wikipedia.
Like who wrote on Wikipedia to glorify himself. Yes, Greg.
They
guy.
they built like the headquarters like all based on like where he worked, like and he specified that it must look like, like how mine did. So it's like supposed to be super real because he
Yeah.
designed it like as he says on his
He had
Wikipedia.
that inside knowledge.
Yes, yeah.
And it looked, and I was shocked when you said that because I was like, it looks like it's a Hollywood, I assumed when I was seeing that set of the lifeguard tower, the main lifeguard tower that is supposedly is in Los Angeles, I mean, we can
Yeah.
go to all these places. We live right here,
Yeah.
but one day we'll have to make a pilgrimage to some of these
we should do
shooting
a pilgrimage
locations
to
and beaches.
locations. Yeah. We'll get Greg.
We definitely will have to do
Turkington.
some on location.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was thinking that was like had to be like made up fancy and cool looking by like the Hollywood producers because it just looked too cool to be like a lifeguard like headquarters and here in LA,
Yeah.
I don't know, the way that like it overlooked the beach and the way that the building was designed, the architecture was like so like cool and
Yeah.
modern-y looking. It did not
I
strike
think-
me that was the real
Yeah, they basically had,
authentic
like
part.
it was all but like having a bar, like it was everything but like hey, like they turned a corner.
Yeah,
and
it
there's,
almost.
like,
It seemed like it did have a bar. Now, as soon as you said that, I feel like I could picture a bar there, and that there should have been
Oh, I
a
don't
bartender
know.
there.
There might have been a
It
bar.
was like that. It was like a cool nightclub that was overlooking the beach.
It sounds like we had to get some like outside knowledge about like lifeguards and what they do and how their operation is run because we're only getting it from Greg, and it's like maybe he's making all this shit up. I don't know.
We might have to as we watch more of the show and dive deeper into our investigation of Baywatch and this podcast, we might have to do some investigation into like comparing the reality of lifeguarding to what you see on Baywatch.
Yeah, we'll do like that lawyer who does like those videos of like, oh well, when you see a case like on...
Legal Eagle.
Yeah. We'll do one like
we'll have to maybe do one of those.
We'll get like a lifeguard and we'll host with them and he'll be like, well, I watched, or she will be like, well, I watched it, and we can't. It's impossible to run in slow motion.
Yeah, that will be coming in the future. We'll have
look forward to
our
that,
lifeguard
listeners.
guest here.
Yeah.
All right,
Let's go
should
through
we
it.
get into to the pilot episode here?
Yeah, let's just go through our notes. We
All
can
right.
trade off. We can bounce. We can swim. So much happened. There's a lot to talk about. A lot that I forgot to kind of write down.
Yeah.
The first note that I have says wholesome. I don't know why. Wholesome. And I think then the next one I have says, should I rub oil on her front? Because we're going to start to see, we meet Hobie. I found out his name is Hobie.
Yes, the little kid.
This is the boy Mitch.
Thank you for saying that because I was like, why does my note say how old is that horny? I was like, what? I was like,
You're an
I don't know, it's a
damn
little boy.
enophile.
I remember being confused at how old this boy was because he seemed very little. He seemed way too little to be that horny, and maybe that's why I said horny. I was like, how old is that little boy? Horny. Why is he horny? Because he was way too little to be that horny.
I don't remember because I don't remember hearing his name spoken, or I can't remember it, but it's Hobie, like Hobie. So, but maybe, but
horny
saying
Hobie.
making the making the horny note is a foretelling, what happens with his story.
Well, yeah, because he seemed like he was all horny for this little girlfriend. He's asking his dad, "What should I do?" His dad's like, "You're cool." They were kind of bonding. You were getting this sense in the beginning that this is what the story is going to be about. It's going to be about the father-son relationship here with the main lifeguard, David Hasselhoff, who we all know, even if you don't know. We all know he's our guy here in the show watching this pilot.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be about this older lifeguard and his son.
And his wife is like, hey, I'm going to go for full custody because, my son's hanging around. He can't be hanging around the beach all summer. It's a bad influence. He needs to come live with me because it's going to open up his life to big possibilities. That's what we found.
Yeah.
Out.
So that. So
like,
that
oh, no.
It almost tricks you into thinking that's the inciting incident.
Oh,
there. It almost tricks you into thinking that.
Yeah.
With that call from his ex-wife because
I'm pretty sure it happens there. Yeah. There's a call.
Yeah.
after we
Yeah,
met
and all
them.
of this is kind of still like in the opening credits. It's
Yeah.
like the music's still playing. There's still like the
Yeah.
people are being announced,
It's
at the
right.
bottom of the screen.
It's all very tricky,
and
I want to say though, because we know about that, like fucking, we know, oh, he's got this custody battle going on, and then we meet the lawyer driving to work.
Oh, I was
right?
gonna say, yeah. Then the
Yeah.
next scene, it cuts to this guy driving, and you're like, okay, who's this character? And then you're like, oh, he's a lawyer. You meet, okay, he's a lawyer because he's like talking about his court, and I think he's on the phone with his wife. Although you thought maybe it was his secretary or something.
I'm pretty sure
But he's on the phone with.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So he's on the phone with someone
who we never meet.
His either his wife or secretary, and he
No,
says,
it's his
like,
wife because we meet his wife later.
What?
We meet his wife later, and I think that's who he was talking to.
Yeah, so I think he's talking to his wife, and he's saying, you know what? I think I could do more good on the beach today than I could in the courtroom. I think like Tower 7 or whatever his tower is that's
Yep.
sentimental to needs me today.
Yeah.
He's like, the waves are looking rough. It's gonna be dangerous out there on the beach. I'm not going to court today. I need to go out there to the beach.
But
And it's just, this is all like in the opening, and then he literally gets off of the freeway and gets off to go to the beach.
But that's why it
And
does
his
feel
wife's
like it maybe
screaming
is.
at him that he has trial.
Like you've got all these, you got so much to do, and he's almost gonna go to court, and he makes like a very dangerous, like last minute turn, right? Like, like goes off.
And now somebody who works in the legal profession, that is like extremely, extremely I don't even know how.
You've never
to
just
begin,
been
like
going.
number one, you just shouldn't be a lawyer if you make that type of decision. If you're like, if that's like your ethics, like your duty to you have fiduciary duties to your clients. Like there's so many layers of unprofessionalism there and unethical behavior that demonstrates. It does not really paint him in a good light.
Right. And not only that, I feel like the other thing that comes to pass is like there's no reason for him to be a lawyer. Like I've kind of rethought about this whole movie. Like I don't know why we need that. Like at the beginning. Like
well,
maybe we're gonna
later
find
on,
out.
I know in my notes I jot down a long list of the people of what a lifeguard can be, because it seemed like this movie, and it seems like I think Baywatch in general, we might learn from what I'm guessing from what we've seen so far and what we read about the guy who wrote it, our guy Greg. It seems like he really wants to show the whole world that lifeguards can and should do everything. That's I think is going to be a running theme here in this series.
Because he was traumatized, Bill, when he was born. He had like Hodgkin's lymphoma or whatever. Remember, he couldn't use his legs. And
exactly. He overcame all that shit and became.
I'll
and
do
then
everything.
Went to the Olympics.
Yeah.
He attended the Olympics. Didn't compete in the Olympics, but he attended the Olympics.
Yeah.
Which I
became a
anyways,
documentarian.
yeah, I think very early on, here we are in the opening credits, we're already learning, hey, a lifeguard's not just a lifeguard. They can be a lawyer. They could be a painter. The old guy's painting later. He's a wonderful painter. I mean, when we get to my list, I'll go through all of them. We'll get further on. But yeah, I mean, we learned early on here that you can be more than just a lifeguard. You can be a lawyer, although I don't know why on the day of trial, you're going to fuck over your client.
Right.
So you can potentially save some lives that you're not even sure are going to need saving.
You just want to go to the fucking beach, man. You just.
Yeah, it really seems like he just wants to go to the beach. I mean, I watched that whole thing, and he does end up saving that girl, and it like ticks off that whole thing. So, I mean, that's the whole. But it really seemed like that was an irresponsible decision given the information he had at the time that he made it, and it does not make me really like him as a character going in.
No,
because I'm immediately thinking, what if I was that guy's client? What a dick.
Right.
He just wants to go to the beach and bum around with his old lifeguard buddies.
Right. Someone's just at court, just like, looking at their watch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like.
The lawyer's not here, Your Honor.
Then we meet, though, and
right.
the curse that he gets, for not going to court that day is we meet, I think her name is Valerie, but I'm going to call her Shelly from Twin Peaks. Remember, we meet her.
Yeah, let's just call her Shelly because we don't know.
She's running a red light and smiling, and you're watching it like, why is she? Later on, we just find out, like, it's the most ridiculous trope, but at first, we're just like, why is she, running this red light and loving it? Like, She has a death wish, is what they want to establish.
Yeah. Early on, you're kind of like, okay, they established she's got this death wish because, like, oh, she's like playing with death, you know?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What's her deal? She's mysterious. Ooh, she's a mysterious girl.
And I gotta say, because we wrote it down, at this point, it's like 8 minutes and I think 20 seconds or 30 seconds are my note. 8 minutes, 30 seconds. We've seen all this now, roughly. Full tits. Full tits.
Oh, yeah.
now.
Just out of nowhere, the tits come in.
Yep.
I mean, it's right there, 8:30, tits out, full topless. And
it's because they were going to be able to.
Bike runs. Yeah, it really is. It's like the bike. You're introduced to this random girl who almost runs a red light and gets killed and is happy about it. And then the next thing is just some guys on the beach, like taking photos of this girl in a bikini. Was then some like typical like 80s rock music plays. Yeah. Like 80s, like, yeah, just like power pop, like metal. Like,
I think
most
somewhere,
stereotypical music ever.
Yeah. I think somewhere someone made the choice where it was like, okay, like the rental market is huge right now. Everyone's starting to rent these VHSs. You know, if this fucking flops or whatever, like, but maybe a bunch of kids will rent it and whack off. Like, 15, 16-year-olds will watch it, get the boobs. Like, we can sell and make a little money that way. Or it's just something we can cut out easy. And we'll just cut it out and throw it on TV, But I don't know how.
And
what
I think,
cut.
Drew, that was like a common. I'm sorry, what?
We just need to know more about this too, because like whatever cut we watched on fucking Vimeo or something, like, I'm sure that wasn't airing on NBC. NB-fucking-C, right? That's how we have to. When we find out the ratings, we'll come back in.
Boobs, but I bet you
we'll come back in right here again. Let you know something maybe when we do the ratings.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
Glad you now know all that we
might have found out.
Know now.
Yeah.
Anyways, like, yeah. So, but what you were saying, I think, is a common decision. I mean, I remember we grew up in this era. I mean, we were born we were 1 year old when this aired.
Yeah.
Or not even one. We were about to turn one when this aired.
Yeah.
But so I remember growing up with that being a phenomenon, kind of where it's just like a lot of movies would be shitty ass movies, but they would just put some tits in there. They just like have a nude scene.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember being a kid. I remember getting Mallrats as a kid, and just getting it, and just like there's a scene with some boobs and pausing it and being like, all right, I'm gonna pause this.
Yep.
And like yeah, so like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, and a movie like this, it's on the beach, it takes place on the beach. There's gonna be horny dudes who are gonna like watch it with their girlfriend, but they're gonna watch it more so be okay with. I mean, that was like an idea. I remember like there's a whole Seinfeld episode about it. Rochelle.
Yeah. Just go to the movies to use them
like
to
thing
get
in
pleasure
the 90s.
out of. You just had to.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You just dudes will just go and see a movie just because of hot girls in it.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I think dudes aren't that like that so much anymore. Millennials are having less and less sex. It's less important to the Gen Z and millennials. So
the first time though that
I don't know. In the 90s, the Gen Xers, man, they were fucking obsessed with TNA.
This isn't the 90s, but it was like maybe the early 2000s or whatever, but it was like middle school or something. And I was like, I like Nicole Kidman, I'm going to look up Nicole Kidman, like some naked shit that she was in, So I'm like, I'm going to masturbate to this thing. And I click it and it's like this scene from this movie. It's like Eyes Wide Shut, And I'm like, what? Like, all of a sudden, like, it's this crazy sex ritual and I'm just this little 12, 13-year-old. I'm so scared that I'm traumatized, And then the funny thing is that like maybe 5, 10 years later now, then I'm intellectually masturbating to the very same movie. Stanley Kubrick, man.
That was all right.
Yeah, it's we're workshopping here.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah. I kind of did that too with Kevin Smith.
Yeah. But you didn't get scared. You didn't get traumatized by a crazy sex cult. Now I can only get turned on if I'm around.
But I did masturbate to it and then masturbate later about how cool I was for liking Kevin Smith so much.
Okay, so I'm going to say now we're moving on a little. Okay. What do you want? Oh, the bowl? Yeah. Here, you want sweet? cut this out. Moving on to that. Okay, Mitch is getting a new uniform, right? He's not only a new uniform, he's got like a promotion, I believe.
Yeah, so after the tits, or after we see the tits, that just ends.
Yep.
It's just not explained at all. It's just,
Why we see that?
oh, it's just, yeah, just some guys doing a photo shoot on the beach, and she was topless. That's just a day at the life of the beach, I guess. And now we're over at the lifeguard tower with Mitch, and he's getting his new uniform. And Mitch is our main guy. That's Hasselhock.
Yeah, and everyone's kind of ribbing him because, oh, now you got this new cop uniform. You got this promotion, eh, Mitch? And then Al, we meet Al, too. He's like the old lifeguard who you mentioned before, who's like a painter. And, like, we find out
Yeah,
that,
and
like,
he's running along the beach, like
Yeah.
still doing his jogging in the morning. And the lawyer, our lawyer character, he drives up alongside of him on the truck.
yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah.
already now like in the lifeguard truck, or maybe
Yeah.
that's his truck. I'm not really sure, but he just drives up alongside him on the beach.
now he's
and
just
is
fully
like,
committed
"Hey there,
to his...
old guy." And he's like, "I think I found a loophole on that early retirement. Don't worry, they're not gonna make you retire." Says something to that effect.
He's got a tower. He's got
Basically,
he's got a tower. He's got a Jeep. He's got all kinds of stuff, even though like he's usually a lawyer. Like he has all this stuff that
yeah.
is reserved for him. You know, it's weird. Like,
Well, I don't think the tower is, but I think that's just the one that he normally works at when he works at the beach. That's
Yeah.
his like tower that he works at. I don't think it's like reserved for him.
well, it feels like he's got his own
Right.
car. He's got his own uniform. He's got all this stuff. Like,
I think
Are
it
there
was
just
his
a bunch of
uniform.
towers
Yeah,
then?
but I think you get assigned. I'm sure they get assigned those things even in the show.
you know, we'll have to. That's when we're gonna have to wait for
It's
our,
just like you
our
typically
lifeguard.
get assigned to that one when you work. But we'll find out. But anyways, so lawyer guy meets our old guy. They make a joke about how he's early retirement. We establish that plot point that he's
Yeah.
going to be up for that. They're trying to get him into early retirement. The old guy, the
Yeah.
higher ups.
Yeah.
And now our guy Mitch is one of those higher ups. So there's some animosity now because now Mitch is leaving the ranks of the lifeguards who go on the ground and hit the sand. That's what it is. Didn't they say like you got to keep them off the sand?
Right.
Isn't
Right.
that the term that they use?
I
Yeah.
think so.
So there's the lifeguards that work the sand, and then there's the lifeguards that stay up in the headquarters and the dispatch, and they monitor everything, and they're like more like controlling the different. And he like runs a beach. I feel like our guy Mitch now he runs that beach.
He's like the top
of
beach
Baywatch.
dog. Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and he's like running all of the lifeguards on that area of the beach.
Yeah. I mean, he has bosses
Yeah.
that we find out, but he's in charge of that. He's,
Well, yeah, but I think there's like the people up above him, but he's like the manager of that area of the beach now.
Right.
Almost.
Right.
He's like the district. It's almost like he went from working at Starbucks to now being the district manager.
Right. Exactly.
You know, that's like my analogy there. So there's some animosity. He's no longer supposed to be doing rescues on the sand. He's supposed to be like staying there and like directing more.
Administration.
Yeah. So what's the next thing that happens here?
I say we meet Lil Shawnee.
Oh yeah, little Shawnee.
She's
We meet our
new.
young characters.
She just passed, like, she barely, like, just got into, like, the lifeguard training or whatever, right?
She just got done with like the junior lifeguard
She
camp.
passed
training
that,
thing.
yeah, and, like, now it's like she's just starting. She's so green.
This is her first day. We basically, it's like the first day now that all of the new young lifeguards are going to get paired up with all of the old veterans.
Yeah.
And we kind of then later get the sense that that's the relationship between Mitch and the old guy, the oldest guy, that he was the veteran
Mitch's...
that Mitch got paired up with.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that's kind of the impression that we got. I don't know if that's expressly stated, but
Shawnee gets a guy, little Shawnee, that it feels like is going to be a regular guy, but I feel like his story doesn't really, like, she gets a guy as her mentor,
she
right?
like meets this. Yeah, she basically, well, no, Shawnee gets assigned to like this older female lifeguard as like the veteran lifeguard, but
Yeah.
she's like has a thing with this guy, or like she just had there's like a little relationship kind of between the two of them because it's the young guy. The other young lifeguard you see is a guy.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about? I don't know his name.
I don't
remember
either.
his name.
I don't either, but he's already like.
Let's call him Young Buck.
Isn't
Buck lifeguard.
Isn't he already in it though? Like he's already. I thought he was already like he was kind of a mentor, right? Like he's not at her
No,
level.
you're talking about the one who was like all like troubled. He just said like he had like a trouble. He like just was troubled, you know?
Yeah. Gotta
Remember
have
he
a
was like
troubled
had a bad
character.
home life or something. I think he was like a. Remember, did he say like he was adopted or something? He gave some really weird line to a kid.
Yeah.
We'll get to it in the. They like didn't make any sense. He like said something to the kid and like that kid's not gonna know what that means.
Trying to
and,
relate
like,
to him.
it was just, like,
Yeah.
it was because like that was one thing, and we'll say this now. Like one thing that was just constant throughout this movie was just how written it felt, like how forcibly, like over the toply, like just like some screenwriters were patting themselves on the back with that clever one, and it just did not. It was just, ugh, it was hard.
Right.
You know, a lot of times it was obvious, like, oh yeah, screenwriters are writing this.
Right.
This is not natural sounding dialogue.
Yeah, it was just like, what's the first thing you would think of? Like, oh, she's just like crazy, has a death wish. She's walking along the pier, falls into the water, and then the dude that saves her, she just has like a undeniable attraction to, and she's crazy. And that, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. It's just such a like,
Yeah,
so
the plot itself too, even. Is
yeah,
like-
it's just like absurdly like
yeah,
like
everything is just like super
obvious
like
or-
what you would expect and obvious and does not seem authentic.
and then doesn't even really necessarily pay off. Like everything, nothing really. I don't know. It's very
No,
soap
'cause then-
opera-y. It's
so-
very soapy.
Yeah, so you have it's like okay, so there's this thing going on with Mitch, the main lifeguard, and his son. Okay, there's this conflict with the lawyer lifeguard and his lawyer life and lifeguard.
Versus beach
And
life.
then there's
yeah.
and then there's the rookie school. That's what they call it. Here's my note: rookie school.
Yeah, the rookie
Lifeguard
school.
thing. Yeah,
Then
that was
there's-
what. And then there's like the that plot line with like, okay, now it's all the rookies first day, and they're gonna,
Right.
have to learn like how things are on the beach,
and
when the
Death
shit
Witch
hits the
Girl is
fan.
wrapped into
Oh, and then the
there's-
Death Witch Girl, we still don't know how she's gonna tie into it. So that's all the stuff that they.
well, he
started
he
to
saves her pretty
establish
early,
here.
I think, doesn't he? Saves her.
Oh yes, that's
'Cause
what the
she's
next
driving
thing
to the
happens. Is
beach.
the Death Wish girl
Yeah.
gets saved. Yeah, as she is just dangling off of the balancing on the pier, like you said.
Right. And we also meet, I don't know if we remember this, but I have it in my notes here. He's like, we met hey mate, like, I'm from Australia. I work on the beach next door to you,
Oh
mate.
my god! Oh my god!
Out for glory, out for
Yes,
glory,
there you go.
out for fame. He's trying to one up Mitch.
What the fuck was up with that guy?
And I think
Yeah.
at this point in the story, we've already seen a moment where like Mitch is trying to rescue some people.
Yeah, that was the next thing was the rival lifeguard, and they were
Yeah.
like, it was like a competition, and it was
And
like
Mitch-
a
no, Mitch is
competition
like-
for the other lifeguards too.
Yeah, it was like, oh, like we are like addicted to saving lives, and like whoever saves it the best and the most, like that's how we do it. And like Mitch is like kind of level-headed. He's like, no, like we're going out, and what happened was I think there were like two kids and like a beautiful woman, and like Mitch is like all close to like the
Yes.
woman.
Yes.
And then he's like, oh, Australian guy, go save the kids. You're closer. And Australian guy looks, like smiles, and like, like dives past Mitch, like, like risking potentially everyone just for the glory of having like rescued
To
the
save
beautiful
hot
woman.
girl.
And then Mitch, like,
Who he then
struggles.
later,
Oh, he
Yeah,
he gets
yeah,
with her,
yeah.
right? Yeah. He
and I
gets
was
with
gonna
it?
say, and it should be said, who he then later does have sex with, and we see our second pair of tits.
That's
in
our
the
next
movie.
boobs. That's right. That's right. So, it was a good.
Is he then like?
If you want tits, it was a good choice for him, I guess. He got tits. He didn't listen to Mitch.
Yeah, I guess.
You listen
Yeah,
to Mitch, you
I
don't
mean, I
get
would've-
tits.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
It was
like,
ridiculous.
Okay,
And then he was very proud of it. He was just
but
like,
what?
he was
I-
like, oh,
I was
you're
a
just
little-
mad that I outswam you. Oh, I just outswam you. It's like, no, you clearly just are out for glory and Anyone could tell.
Yeah.
Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's like
and and what that did was it set up that our guys are the good guys too.
Yeah,
We very ham-fistedly like did that too. Like
Yeah.
our guys are good because their team they work as a team. They're team players. They care only about saving lives. And yes, they do love what they do because there is an adrenaline rush to it.
Right.
And like anyone, like we all love what we do, or if you love what you do, it's probably because you feel like it is contributing to something greater than yourself and helping people.
right,
Like,
right.
you know, it's
Right.
like most people that love what they do love what they do because they feel like it's something that's positive for the world.
Right.
So like, yeah, saving people who are drowning. Yeah, you're going to feel good
Right.
doing it, but you don't have to like, but these guys, this Australian fucking lifeguard, he's doing it because he wants glory, not because he's doing it because he then, and as we see, he goes back and gets laid by the girl. He gets to fuck the girl he saved.
Right.
Or it's just some, maybe, he didn't get to fuck that girl. He might get to fuck some other girl who saw him bring her back and save her.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
No,
So
he's
he's
not
doing
gonna.
it for the glory. Though.
You're not gonna
It's
get
that's
fucked
what's
for
established.
saving kids. You don't get fucked for saving kids. All you get for saving kids is ability to pitch your pilot.
Although doesn't, yeah.
I wonder if Mitch
Listen
pitched his
listen to our
pilot.
first episode to get that reference.
Yeah, exactly.
The first Baywatch.
See, if I was
Podcast
writing it,
episode.
yeah, like if I was really trying to interject my story, or if that story's even real, it's like that's what would happen. It's like Mitch he'd come out on the end because like, he would be like, oh, those children are
that
part
guy
of
got
NBC.
to fuck the girl, but Mitch got to pitch like the podcast or the pilot the
That's
Baywatch
responsible for
series
our
idea
podcast.
to this
Yeah.
producer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That should have been a
his
story.
kids
I mean, they're
say.
throwing all kinds of shit in there. Why not throw that in there?
Right? Yeah, just throw that one in.
He's like, no, that's better. I'm gonna
Interesting.
save that for my Wikipedia. What's Wikipedia? The fuck is this guy talking about? This Greg guy is crazy. Oh, I'm a time traveler too. I don't know if you know. After they promoted me to firefighter,
Lifeguards are everything, even time travelers.
we got the secrets of the United States government after I got promoted from firefighter to time traveler extraordinaire. Yeah.
I rescued so many lives. They figured they'd give me access to the time travel machine.
Exactly.
But anyway,
That's all in the movie.
Yeah,
You gotta
so
watch
that's
it.
established is that our guys are the good guys and that they're doing this for all the right reason. And for some reason, we need to establish that there's like this rivalry. And it's almost like they just want to be like, hey, it's another thing for the producers. Like, hey, we could also have storylines about the competition amongst lifeguards.
I think Mitch says, though, I have in quotations, and tell me about, I think someone says, I think it's Mitch, like, saving lives isn't competition. I just have that in quotations.
Yeah, I have competition too. I have competition. So yeah.
And then,
think
you were
someone
talking
did
about
say
the
that.
sexy boobs. The next sexy scene happens, I think. And we were just like, whoa. When it was like the little kid rubbing lotion on like a slightly older little kid, and it's like a...
Oh, yeah. She like takes her top off.
And she takes
but
it
not
off,
like,
yeah!
she's like laying down, but like, yeah, then she's like, because he says, because the thing happens where she's like, what if she asked me to rub lotion on her front? She's like, she can reach her front.
Yeah.
But then she does what he says. She asks him to rub lotion on her back. He's like, okay. And he's like, she says that, can you take my, can you undo my like the string on my top, because I don't like I hate tan lines.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this girl doing? And then it's like, there's like some uncomfortable pedophile-y porn. Speaking of the pedophiles.
Yeah.
It's like, it's weird. It's just weird. They have these like really little kids rubbing each other with lotion.
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right. And then we're an hour in at this point. So this is like all that we've seen, and we're an hour in. And like at this point, I don't know what this is about. I don't know who I'm supposed to follow.
Yeah. And another thing that was in there, because there's so many different characters, so many you don't know who to follow. One other story element I think we forgot is like, remember there was like a boat. That's where we see little Shawnees. Her thing is that like she's just too scared, like she can't give CPR to that little kid. Remember there was like a boat scene, like she has to go out there. It's like her first day. I think this happens around then too.
Oh! This was the rescue. It was the rescue. It was the same rescue with the Australian guy.
Oh, it was all that was all in the same.
It was
moment.
that same. It was
Yeah.
the same rescue. So Shawnee, the new rookie lifeguard, she was involved in
Froze.
that rescue too, or she was out there in the boat and like, cause I think that maybe but somehow like they got him onto the lifeguard boat, and she was like there.
Oh, it was one of the
she
kids
was
that
like the
Mitch
one
saved.
closest to give CPR to the little kid.
Yeah. And she froze. She couldn't do it.
But she couldn't. She froze. She choked under pressure, and
that
the
other
senior lifeguard had to push her out of the way.
And then that girl though gives her like that girl that was talking to Mitch before, the older lady lifeguard, like was like, oh, don't worry, like right, like you'll be okay next time. Like it's hard at first. I think like she gets consoled or something,
but then
because she's gonna have a
but
moment where she redeems herself.
Yeah, somebody consoles her, but the thing that leaped out in my mind that I thought of was the scene where her like lifeguard comes like her like Shawnee's like veteran lifeguard partner comes in and like says to Mitch, "Can you give me a fucking partner that's not completely useless out there?"
Oh yeah.
And she's like, "You have to nurture her. She's good. Like
That's right.
She just needs to." They're like, yeah, and it was
The
like
inner conflict, man. Ooh, yeah.
yeah. And then like
What is the
and we're like we got almost.
What is the halfway raise the stakes point though? Because I have that. Like, yeah, finally they're raising the stakes halfway. But what do they do? I don't remember what it is. I don't remember
Let me see what my notes say.
It just feels like more shit.
Aussie not ethical, wants pussy. we went over that. It's at halfway. Yeah, I say it's at halfway. Oh, reportable child sex act. That was at the halfway point. Was the report? That's what. Because remember, we were watching this with Drew's girlfriend Vanessa, who is a mandated reporter for stuff like that, for pedophilia or sex crimes. And she said that would be a reportable act if she saw like two kids that age rubbing each other's like that. She would have to report it.
It's true. I just tested her on the test.
Reportable child sex act happened halfway point. That was the thing that happened, was the reportable child sex act.
Yeah.
Really, that's all. Because like it was just a bunch of little things that like didn't really go anywhere, all happening one after another. The first like half of the movie.
Right.
Okay.
And now,
then
now
Act
we
2.
have. Yeah, which I think starts with like the lawyer guy being accosted by Shelley.
No, actually.
Right?
What?
Shelley is like in lawyer guy's tower and like, I want to be with you.
Oh yes, I think that happened.
I want to be with you, lawyer guy, and he's like, no, and then like someone sees them together, right? And then she's like, I don't care, I'm gonna like say that I had sex with you.
Yeah,
it's the beginning of that.
To seduce him.
And he's like, no.
Yes, she tries to seduce him. He's like, no, I'm married, and then and that's pretty much it. And then it just more establishes that she's unstable too, and that she's like, she's completely like unhinged.
Right.
Okay. But what I was gonna say that was, but before that, I think my notes we have that the second act starts with the second child custody discussion.
Oh, okay. What was that?
Isn't that the wife in the car scene? I had a wife in the car scene.
Yeah,
I remember. So that's when I started to think it's going to be about the child custody. That's going to be our main story. The whole time I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the main plot here.
Right.
Yeah, I thought the child custody here because the second act seemed to start with that. We meet the ex-wife.
No, but it never comes back.
She comes to the beach. She's like trying to find the kid.
Yeah.
And Mitch is like, don't worry, he's at the beach. Like, you don't know where he's at. It's like, oh no, we'll go drive and find him. So then they're driving along trying to find the kid on the beach. And they're talking, and you get a little bit more. I don't know. It was kind of nothing. It was just like exactly what you expect. Like, he can't be a lifeguard, Mitch. He wants to follow in his footsteps. Oh yeah, Mitch says, and this is another reason why you need the lawyer lifeguard, is because he said, you don't have to, you can be a lifeguard and be anything. Like, again, to our theme. Like,
right.
Look at so-and-so. He's a lawyer. Look at so-and-so. He went off to do that. He just names like a few of the lifeguards who also do other things or went off to be like something. I don't know. It's in my list. Let me go to my list now. Here. Lifeguards can be lawyers. It can be, can't read that. Journalist.
Yeah.
Because he was a journalist. He got a
he got a journalism degree.
They could be journalists. I don't know. They can be foster kids because he said, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Call me my name's Foster." That was the
That's
thing that one
right.
thing one
And he's
the
like,
male
what?
rookie said.
Yeah, he was trying to bond with what is it,
This
Hobie?
little kid.
Is that Mitch's kid? Or no,
Yeah.
Hobie, horny.
Yeah, he was
We're
trying
calling
to
him
bond
horny.
with Mitch's kid, with the horny kid, and
Yeah.
then he was like, "Yeah," he just said that his name was Foster. And he's like, or his last name was Foster. Let me just say, let's just say my last name was Foster.
Right.
And it's like, what?
right. Okay.
Because he said like he lived a lot of places or something.
Right. But it's like, if I'm a little kid, it's like that could be your last name, like Jodie Foster.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I mean?
It was like
I
all
don't-
the it was just one of those things. It was like, God,
Right
dude,
there.
that's such a fucking ass lame.
I wrote a
line.
great
You know,
line.
screenwriter
I
was
wrote
like,
a great
"That's so
line.
great."
Yeah.
That's why that bothered me. That line. I was like, oh, that's so fucking.
So much of it. Dude.
Yeah, they could be firefighters. They can be cops. They can be investigators. They can be painters.
Yeah.
They can be basically anything. So that's what like the car was like. You know, Mitch is trying to say, no, let the kid be a lifeguard, hang out at the beach. It's good for him. He'll be exposed to all these people who are all these different things. He can be anything and be a lifeguard and live the lifeguard life. And mom's like, no, because you're just a fucking beach bum lifeguard, you fucking loser. He's not going to be like you.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything like that, but it basically is kind of the sentiment.
And when he lives with me, you know, he's gonna get so many opportunities that you're never gonna be able to open him up to. But then she just leaves, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, then she's just gone. I forget
And now
really
Mitch- and
why.
all- she just
the
leaves
kid
and-
stays there.
the kid stays, she leaves. Now Mitch is just having a party.
I think that the kid then goes to, and then the kid eventually winds up on that boat.
Yeah, with
By
Al,
the
like,
end,
oh, I'm gonna
that's
cheer
how
you
it
up. I'm
really
gonna
ends.
take you fishing. Al's like, it's
Yeah,
Al,
they
the
go
old man.
fishing.
He like wants to cheer the boy up because of like family dysfunction, you know. But I think that's later, right?
Yeah.
Like first there's like that party, right?
Yeah,
And
then
that's-
we go to the party.
And that's where now we have some.
At an hour and 30 minutes in, we hit the party, dude.
Christ, man.
We are far into this movie. We are like the runtime of a regular movie, and it's like, what the fuck has happened?
Oh,
It feels
my
like we've
God.
just been rambling this whole time. That's because this movie was a fucking rambling mess.
Yeah, it was just scattershot, just poof. Yeah.
Yeah. So then there's just a party scene that
But
everyone just happens to be at.
everyone
Again,
that
it's
we've
always
met.
like these people just
Everyone
happen
we've
to
met.
be always together at these various places.
Even the random, like crazy, you know, girl
They were
with
like
the death
established
wish.
they were going to a party. Or
Yeah.
that there was going to be some after party.
It's just
after
there
everyone
all of
got
a
off of the
sudden. Yeah.
ship.
You
It
know
was
when
just
you
like, no, it's nighttime and everyone's at this indoor pool party at this really cool looking fucking place.
which I think is Mitch's house, and then like everyone, that we've met so far just happens to be there conveniently.
That can't be his house.
I think it is,
That
man.
looks like that was like if that's someone's house, that is like a fucking that's like a
Well,
house
maybe
out
not.
here
Yeah.
in fucking Beverly Hills.
But then,
Or like in like Laurel Canyon $1 million house.
he might be randomly
$5 million house.
He might have inherited wealth. You know, I don't know.
Mitch is a lifeguard. See, that's the other thing. Like, I feel like the lifeguard salary. This is part of the culture of the '90s in like the end of history, capitalism era. Is like just like these lifeguards just all have like, oh yeah, you could like the one old lifeguard who's like all super old. Yeah, I'm sure that like he drives a nice car, has a nice house, all stuff that you could no way fucking actually afford, especially nowadays on a lifeguard salary.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure lifeguards do not make that much money, even though they're saving lives.
Shit's still the same though, and I like wonder why. I can't imagine what certain writers are thinking. Because randomly today, I was like, I'm just gonna watch. They brought back Dexter, and I watched that show with my mom because she liked it, and I didn't
Yeah,
really care. I don't
remember.
even care
Yeah.
about that show. But I was like, I'm just gonna watch the first episode and see. And it's like he's like, okay, like, oh, I'm not a killer anymore. Like I'm trying not to be a killer. I live in the woods. And I'm a clerk at a like hunting and fishing store. You know what I mean? Like I'm a clerk at this store, and I have a cabin in the woods. I'm able to like go out on the town all the time. Have a girlfriend who's the chief of police. Like, you know, I have a car. I have fucking all this weaponry. You know what I mean? Like, how does this fucking store clerk who's a cashier, like, how is he able to do all this shit? I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. Like that job doesn't fit with like all the stuff that this character is doing. You know what I mean? Like it just feels weird.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's like that's why I like the early Simpsons episodes too. Like the early seasons of Simpsons, they
Yeah.
were always very conscientious of like that in their plotline choices.
Like this guy's
they'd
making
be like,
$12.50 an hour, you know? And how does he have a cabin?
he's
How does he
able
live
to
in a
do.
cabin?
And it's just because, and you would see that later with the Simpsons, just like all of a sudden Homer just have all this money he could just give to Bart, or they could just go fly somewhere because it's like, well, why not?
Yeah.
Homer never has to go to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just because they just want to have fun with the writing and like they just want to be able to do this shit.
Right.
But yeah, so that's like the other thing. Yeah, you want to have these characters that are able that live normal lives and are relatable, not these poor fucks.
Right. Yeah, we're not. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we're not trying to uplift people or fucking liberate people. We're writing Baywatch.
Or make a social commentary on how poor, underpaid, these people are. We're just
There's no
trying,
social commentary in this pilot, but we're gonna get some shit. I know.
Yeah,
from some of the stuff I've
of
seen.
course the head lifeguard, the lieutenant lifeguard, has a $3 million house in Laurel Canyon or Beverly Hills that has this insane like outdoor indoor pool that is like also has this grill area that has this overlooking area. This like it could look like it had like a thing that you could jump off into the pool.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful place for a
It's just an insanely
confrontation.
elaborate looking set that looked really fucking cool. There are people hanging off everywhere up above in these balconies.
It's got to look
drinking.
cool so that you want to watch it. These people have a cool
yeah.
life, but they have problems. The lawyer guy.
We saw some of those problems with Shawnee, our other young boy rookie. They were talking. She was like all worried about how she couldn't do it, and how does he able to do it? He's just like, oh, I guess I've had a rough life or something. He just says that he's rough, and then he doesn't want any, or he doesn't. And then she like wants to be his friend. He's like, I don't need any friends.
Yeah.
And then like, he walks away. He was kind of just like, I'm troubled. I'm not. He was like the least developed.
Just call me Mr. Able to save people and not lock up with fear. He always had. He's Mr. Foster,
And
right?
Foster.
And Foster. You'd get
He
that
was
if you saw the
Foster, though.
scene I had with the boy from before. No, but then the other conversation we get Shelly comes and she's like, I had sex with your husband. She tells
Oh yeah, that's
the
when all
lawyer's
the drama
husband.
comes out. She calls out because for some reason
She
the
tells the lawyer's
lawyer
wife.
lifeguard and his wife are just there at the party.
Right.
Wife comes. She's hanging at the party. She talks to Shelly before she
Right.
says anything. Shelly comes up and starts talking to her. She says like, yeah, like this lifeguard saved me.
Right.
He then made love to me. It was wonderful. And it was on this pier.
And he's like, she's
And it's the
lying.
one that his lookout.
She's
What?
lying. Yeah. He's like, she's lying. Like she.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, but then she says it all to everybody in public. She
Yeah,
says
she
it once
says it-
like to her,
Right.
and you wonder. It makes you wonder. That was one good part of it. I mean, you wonder like, oh, is she gonna tell? Like, is she gonna make it? Because she kind of drops it. She has sex with a lifeguard. Is she gonna say that it's your husband? Is she gonna tell other people? And then later, she in the party, she just tells everybody.
Right. And then
She had sex with her.
and he's like, no. And then at some point, I think
Yeah.
we end up like back at his. I think like I don't know, like, but like, then it's like he's at his lifeguard station again, and she's all fucked up. Like, do you have that? Like, she's all bruised up, and she's like, oh, my father did this to me, and like then like the lawyer and his wife start to become all. They start to be all like
Yeah,
sympathetic of
somehow
her.
I was just looking for my notes too. Like, how did? Because it's like all of a sudden we're just like they're back. I feel like this is what happened here from my notes here. I could be wrong, and this might be another time when you hear future us pop in to correct the storyline if we get it
You've got to
wrong.
be very diligent about making this right. This is Baywatch.
Well, we got to figure out like
Yeah,
we don't want to like say these guys suck at writing a show and then like we
just suck at
missed,
remembering shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that what happened was like then the next morning after the party, Shelly calls the lawyer because I have a note here. How did Shelly get the lawyer's lifeguard's number?
Yeah.
So I think that the next morning,
Oh yeah, she calls and is like, I'm gonna do something again.
Daddy, and then my next note is quote, Daddy, is Daddy's be raping? Is Daddy be raping?
Well, because
So,
she's
and
like,
she
she has
called
bruises.
because Daddy's been raping me.
Yeah, I've got bruises,
then I
and
think-
the couple then
Yeah,
they
then I
take her
think-
in. They take her in to their house.
Yeah, they then go get her or something and take her in. And then
she spends
like
the night with
she's
them.
there. I have this other quote like, I'm gonna keep my eye on you anyways, or something. Like, he tells her that. Like the lawyer guy tells Shelly, like, I'm gonna keep my eye on you anyways.
Yeah. See, I think this is a
I don't
segment
know.
where it starts to really focus on like the lawyer and their shit. Because like
This
I
is where
remember,
we
like,
thought, okay, now they're choosing a storyline finally.
a little bit, yeah. Because then like we spent a lot of time
It's
with
an
them.
hour 45 minutes in. They finally decided this is our plot line.
Yeah, and this is another one of the writing things where it's like, haha, like they just do like little tricky things because like it's like it feels like they don't really care about these characters. But they just want to kind of trick us sometimes because then we take in the girl, that we take in Shelly, and we're like, oh, actually the truth is that she's been traumatized. I think she stays the night at their house, like
Yeah,
And then,
she does.
then like the
And,
lawyer
like,
goes.
I have a quote here with like from the lawyer saying Lori's upstairs in my
Right.
bedroom.
right,
It's like, what?
and then I think
Like,
he
why
goes.
what are you?
He goes to check on like her family, because he's like, oh fuck, like
Yeah,
she's being,
then he goes to
she's
like
being
check on her
abused.
house and like make sure. He's like, I'm gonna tell you about your husband. And
Yeah.
he's like, her father's been dead for 10 years.
Yeah, dead for dead. Let
You're
the
like,
bum.
oh.
She's been in
And then
she
we
was
should
in an
mention too. We
insane
forgot to
asylum.
mention that. What?
She was in an insane asylum, and I feel like she recently got out.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. We forgot to mention earlier that there was a scene where you see her like leaving her house, and there's like a banner that says "Welcome back home, Shelly."
Yes,
Or
yes.
Lori, which
Lori.
is her name.
Yeah,
But yeah, so yeah, we got the impression that she was like in a mental institution.
of some sort. Yeah,
And-
she and
Yeah,
That's why
and then
she
she was lying about being abused by her father.
right, and
Who's
she's
actually
got these
dead.
suicidal tendencies. Maybe she's super violent. Maybe she's a threat to our lawyer and his
Yeah.
marital, world.
And I'm like, I say that's basically that's kind of, I put here second act climax. That was the
Okay.
second act climax.
okay.
And then we had the boat fire.
Well, no, because then he rushes back, right, and he finds her. Doesn't he find her like? Is this all happening at the same time? Where it must be cutting back and forth because now he's like, fuck, I gotta go save my wife, like the lawyer guy, and then she's not home, and like he, eventually like the girl is trying to kill her, like Shelly is trying to kill the wife at the pier.
Yeah, Shelly tries to kill the wife. I forgot about that.
She takes her to the
that's
pier.
like happening. Yeah, because then she finds out. Yeah, when lawyer guy
And
finds out that
slashes her
Shelly's
wrist.
crazy,
Yeah.
then he's like, "Oh no, I left this crazy bitch at home with my wife."
And
And
so
then
it's
he
like,
runs back.
yeah. That's another one of those. It's like this
Yeah.
writer trick where it's like, I get it. Like,
But
you
then
wanna be
Shelly
tricky.
just like gives him the knife. She just like gives the knife away, and then she cries.
Yes.
And then they're
so
like,
then it's like,
"Okay,
ha ha ha!
you're okay."
Again, we're tricking you again. She is relatable, and you can sympathize with her, kind of, I guess, because she's crazy.
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, now that's solved, basically.
Yeah. That
We
one's wrapped
solved
up.
Crazy
That's wrapped
Shelley.
up. Yeah. But guess
Yeah,
what?
we
Al
wrapped that
took.
one up. So
Al
then
took-
this is what we were wondering while we were watching this. I remember we were wondering, we're like, oh my God, it is so close to the end of this fucking movie.
Yeah.
We're like an hour, 50 minutes in, and like they wrapped that up. So I guess now we're done. But none of these other plot lines are gonna get tied up. Nothing's gonna like get resolved at all.
Not really.
The idea with the Mitch and his kid, none of that. Like this tension between like with the new girl, she's not gonna overcome her fear. Like what's her name again? The new girl?
Little Shawnee.
Shawnee, yeah, Shawnee's not going to overcome her fear. We're not going to learn what's going on with Foster. Like none of this is going to get wrapped up. But then we see they don't do it, but their attempt to do it, which is really, really, really bad, is the boat fire.
Right.
Then we see, because remember we last left off our old lifeguard and our young Mitch's
Little
kid
horny.
going out
Little
on
horny.
a fishing trip.
Yeah, because he needs to cheer him up because his parents are involved in this custody battle, and
Yeah, so he takes him
Take
out
him
on
out
a boat to
fishing.
go fishing, and then they're
you know, and
on
mind
this
you-
boat where there's like
and mind you, Al, the guy Al, the lifeguard too, he's not feeling so hot either because he's like a threat to, you know, everyone's saying he's not fit to work anymore. Like, can he even save people anymore?
yes, we almost forgot there was that storyline too. God,
Yeah.
there's so much.
So much things, yeah.
yeah. Al, the old lifeguard, he's like, we see him painting, and we basically there's a moment. Oh, we forgot. So there's more. So this is how that'll tie in. Yeah, there's that whole thread that we kind of skipped over. It's like when Mitch had to save that girl and her kids, which again, like, wait a minute. You know, with the Aussie, you know, with the Australian lifeguard,
Yeah.
when they both did that rescue together and the Aussie saved the girl and bypassed the kids, I
Uh-huh.
thought that those were her kids. So like, wouldn't she be pissed that he like didn't save them?
Yeah.
So anyways,
I don't think they
Not
were though,
sleep
because
with
why would
them?
she just be like like out fucking
yeah, it
and
must
not just with
must
her
not
kids? Like,
been,
oh,
but-
let's stay together tonight because we almost died.
yeah.
Maybe they're unrelated.
Anyways, so when Mitch did that rescue, he got reprimanded,
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah, he did. Yeah,
Or
because
by
he's not
his-
supposed to
by
be.
his superior,
you're not
because he's
supposed to be
not
out
supposed
there
to be
on
on
the
the
beach.
beach doing rescues.
Yep.
They're like, you should have called it in.
Yep.
And they were like, I was quicker on the sand. Or no, what it was old guy Al. He was there. It was like he was the one that should have been there, but for some reason it was like he couldn't
He
get
couldn't
there
make
quick
it, yeah,
enough. So yeah, he couldn't make it there quick enough. So he's like, he's too old to be on this. You got to keep him off the sand. Put him
Yes.
up in the tower or something, like, you know,
Yes,
I don't know.
yes,
It was like, you got to basically keep him from being on the sand doing the rescues.
yes,
And until he retires out.
yes,
And so that's like Mitch's other conflict. He has his son, and then he's got this with where he's being told by his superiors, being tested, are you going to be able to like bench basically your mentor,
right,
like you know, as your new role as his superior.
right.
And so so he basically has a conversation about that where he has to, and that's when we learn that the old guy Al is a great painter,
Right, right.
and that lifeguards can also be amazing painters.
It's good that we learned so much about Al and all of this textured layers of his character because he ultimately fucking dies. He fucking dies.
Yeah, he did, because he's on a.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
He takes
but of
the
us.
kid out fishing. They're on a boat. They're on a boat with all these other people who are out on this big boat, and then somehow this idiot negligently changes the propane tank.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Blows up. The boat blows up due to this guy's negligence. A big fire happens. And now we have our big climax of the movie.
Right.
There's a big rescue that has to be done.
Little Shawnee's gotta.
There's
Little Shawnee's gotta come.
Yeah,
She's gotta
now's her
overcome her
chance.
fear. You know. Yep. And Mitch has got to be. My son. You know. Maybe my wife was right.
and the old guy Al, he's got a chance to prove that he's not too old. Oh wait, no, never mind. He just dies in the
He's-
boat.
yeah. He's gonna prove that he is actually way too old. He's so old that he's gonna die. Like
Yeah.
you know, like, he
The
dies.
kid that he was with, who was a little kid who was not even fully grown or muscularly developed, he survived.
Yeah.
But the old guy who was trying to prove that he could still make it as a lifeguard, he died in the,
I mean,
in the
he-
boat.
I think he does save. Like they're trying to be
I
like.
think he saves the kid. I think that's kind of what happens.
Yeah. They're trying
because
to
it's another
make-
one of those super cheesy ass,
Yeah.
ham-fistedy like things. Like, oh god,
He,
of
like,
course
saves
the old
everyone.
lifeguard has to sacrifice himself
Yeah.
to save the kid.
And it's not even a sacrifice. I think he just saves them, and then he just gets like caught up. Like he saves
I
like
think
everyone,
he,
and
I
then
think
he
he
just gets
saves
stuck.
the kid, and then like he just can't save himself.
He's like, well, he just gets stuck. I think he like saves them. And he's like, oh no, I'm stuck in like a net. You know, I'm stuck in like my leg got stuck, and then I think he just gets stuck, and then okay, like it's not even that he's too old. It's just that like happenstance happen. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like you could write it way better. Like you know what I mean? Like it just
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Well, he's just died.
he just randomly dies. Like you know, it's not because he's too old.
Well,
It's not.
we needed like some big. We needed a character die. We needed to have some fucking weight to it, Drew. I guess
Yeah.
it was like really just to give it some stakes, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then he comes up and Mitch has to perform CPR on him. And he pulls...
My notes say that right now. It says, "Did the old man save the kid, or did he just die?" So I guess we were not clear when we watched the movie. What happened, really? We'll have to go back and fill that one in.
He dies, and then Mitch brings him up somehow.
I gave it a
and
D.
Mitch is giving him CPR and trying to save him, you know? Because we're
Oh,
not even
yeah,
at the end of the
Mitch is-
movie yet.
And then it all ends like with him basically like his like body like being buried at sea. Oh,
yeah,
seemed
it's like it's
was
like,
like his funeral.
Is it Wrath of Khan? It's like Wrath of Khan. It's like, you know, it's
yeah,
like,
it was like a Wrath of Khan moment, kind of.
At
Yeah,
the
where they
end,
were like
we're sending
all on
him
a
off.
boat, like sending
Yeah.
him off. That was
As good
it.
of a movie, I'd say.
And Barbie, who I put her as Barbie, but little Shawnee, because she
Little
kind of
Shani-
looks
she
like
looked
a Barbie.
Yeah, she does.
But little Shawnee, dude, she did not save anybody in the boat. It was like they had that perfect
Yeah,
opportunity to wrap
exactly.
up her
What?
storyline.
What?
They just were like,
Why?
no, we're
Why?
just gonna have the old guy die.
Yeah. No real.
And it really didn't do much for Mitch's child custody plot.
No.
Because
He
that
should
did
not
not
be.
help that. It didn't really. All it did was just like, oh, this isn't going to be good for that. But it didn't really like say that. It's not like the wife came back and said something about that.
No.
It's like, no, it's just like me as a viewer thought
I'm
we
wondering.
didn't get that wrapped up, and
Yeah.
I guess it's not going to be good. I don't know.
But it's proof that like maybe the mom is right. Like this is a dangerous and maybe like a place of bad
Exactly.
influence for this child. He's almost dying. He's gonna like fuck this like 12-year-old on the beach. His dad doesn't care. You know, I don't know. You know, like
We can't find him. Yeah, when
can't
I
ever
asked them
find
where's
him.
the kid, they're like, I don't know. Let's go look for him on the beach.
yeah. But it's never resolved, and it's not like a cliffhanger in a pilot where you're like, no, I'm intentionally like writing in these questions so that the audience wants to come back.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, maybe that's
no,
what they were
they
thinking.
made it.
Maybe.
No, when we watched it, like
lawyer
when the
never has a
music
resolution?
Played, then no, it was like they presented it like as if everything had wrapped up nicely, and it
No,
was
they
like
did.
a nice,
Yeah.
complete, full movie. But it just
Yeah.
was like, no, a bunch of stuff just happened.
Yeah, it was just random.
That's all
yeah.
that it was.
Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
bunch of events happened,
Yeah.
and then the movie ended.
It just ended. Yeah, it was like, what?
So weird.
I didn't realize how bad a thing could be, I guess, you know, because it was just
No,
like,
it was one of the worst movies I have seen. You know what? This is how bad it was. This is how bad it was. What is like the worst movie I ever saw? And when I saw it in high school, I was like, holy shit, this is the worst movie ever. I love this guy and I love what he does
oh, yeah.
usually,
I know.
but I cannot do this.
It's a
so
Kevin Smith
fucking
movie.
boring, and just a bunch of shit happened randomly, and then the movie ended just like in that movie. It's fucking Give My Regards to Broad Street. Dude,
Oh,
by
you're
Paul
talking about Paul McCartney. Oh, yeah.
It's like
I'm sorry,
that
Kevin
movie.
Smith. I'm sorry, Kevin Smith.
It
yeah.
is a lot like Give My Regards to Broad Street by Paul McCartney.
Oh, wow.
Where just like a bunch of random shit happens. I guess it's about these missing tapes, but it's just like, oh, the tapes are missing. Okay, then a bunch of stuff happens. Then at the end, we found the tapes. He was gonna sell them for drugs, but then he didn't, and now he's a good guy. Okay, cool. And we met some monkeys, and we had a whole scene that took place in the mid
Yeah.
in the 1800s. Like just a bunch of random shit just happened, just like with this movie where there's like, oh, there's just some
Yeah.
random tits. There was a rival lifeguard.
Maybe the
There
common
was a child custody.
maybe the common element between the two is that it's just like this person who is very vivacious and seems to live life and is very positive and believes that people can do anything and that they can do anything.
It is just like a show.
Just made a
about
movie,
some hip
and they shouldn't
people.
have made that movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like they can't make a movie. You know what I mean? Like Paul McCartney, I don't know, he's great, but he just believed he could, and he made this movie that's not very good. And I think Greg,
Yeah, and Greg
that.
believed that he could make a movie about how great lifeguards are because they are the greatest thing in the world,
yes,
and they just showed that they're just boring. The movie is not really a movie. It's just
Yeah.
trying to showcase how awesome lifeguards are.
yeah. And maybe that's it. It was like, it's just in it because we keep hearing that, like, oh no, he had to make like a video demonstration, instead of being able to write a script because there was a writer's strike. So he made like a video demo, and then that sold the executives on the
Yeah.
pilot. And now the pilot just feels like a really, really long video demo with some dialogue. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's
with
just,
some dialogue and some ideas for stories.
Yeah.
Because the dialogue has to
Suggestions.
be about something.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll have him and his ex-wife, and they can talk about tension. They're disputing child custody. That's what
Yeah.
the ex-wives and husbands talk about lots. It has tension. That's good for drama. Like it's just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, yeah. It seems so written, like
And
so
we have to,
like painstakingly, like obviously written.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure that like we're talking about like putting it in the context of the time, like and some of the ones I'm going to mention are not, but like the Cheers pilot, there are pilots from these like other great shows that like the pilots are cohesive and they're like a story that like like Twin Peaks, they can kind of like work on
Or
its own.
Lost.
You
Like
know, they can work
Yeah.
on their own as like a standalone thing that like if the show never got picked up, you could still kind of enjoy that pilot and it would be like a complete story. It has a beginning, middle, and a fucking end, and like things get
I
resolved.
can't think of any other to name right. No, but I feel like yes, there are plenty of shows that
The pilot
people in the
is
comment section are naming right now. I'm
yeah,
sure
exactly. Yeah.
that have like very cohesive like pilots that leave some threads kind of open or like not fully closed, obviously,
Well, yeah.
but like have a little bit more there, much more there.
Yes.
At least have like a main theme that is wrapped up within it. Or
Yes.
comic books. Comic books are a perfect example of that. You
Right.
have like a 5-episode or 5-series story run, or 5-issue, 3-issue story run or more, of like this little story within, for issues 520 through 523 of Batman.
Right.
And it's like it's this storyline about this villain or this thing that happened.
Right.
And like, why couldn't they have done that?
Right.
I don't know. Or like
Yeah,
they
this
had
just-
that opportunity with the boat fire that we thought
Yeah.
they were gonna like, okay, now this is where they're gonna bring all the characters together into one location and they're gonna tie up all of their themes and bring them all together. And
Yeah.
nope.
Yep.
We just needed something big to happen at the end.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
shit, we'll have a boat blow up.
Yeah. This just
And
feels
one of our
like
people will die. Might as well be the old guy.
yeah. It just feels like fuck it. And also it feels like an alien like kind of understanding how TV shows work and what people like to see and just trying to do it. Like it doesn't really feel like someone who knows how to write or make TV. There's like, no, these things kind of work, right? Like I usually see a big climatic thing. Yeah, like I usually see someone die.
Yeah.
Like and I
It's like,
think
we
that
need
that
to
is going to
have-
be what we see moving forward forever with this show. I honestly do.
Yeah.
Like I think that's kind of going to be part of what makes it special.
What do you? Should we maybe kind of end it with
This is wrap,
giving
yeah.
it a grade here?
Yeah.
Maybe we should give each episode a grade at the end.
Okay,
We'll
yeah, that's
see.
a good thing to do. Yeah.
We'll give this
I-
one, and we'll see if we continue it.
Yeah.
But because I gave this one a grade right when we finished watching it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I have it on my note. That's why I'm thinking. So
Yeah.
I gave it a D. I said D movie.
I'm going to mine
Not
you're
a
gonna
B movie, but a D.
Okay. My grading scale is going to be beach weather. I'm going to say this is a fucking
Okay,
cloudy
okay.
ass rainy day at the beach, Bill. Which is a D. This cloudy, fucking
is a
rainy.
D.
It's not good. You can't have, it's not fun day at the beach. You don't go to the beach on a day
Maybe
like
there's
this.
like a moment where there's a break in the clouds and it stops raining for a second. You have a little bit of sun.
Yeah.
Those were like when the tits were out, because that was like what you were expecting.
even
that
like
at least
the-
was what you were expecting. But
It
other
was- it
than
was
that,
surprising.
it
It
was just
was
a rainy
surprising.
day at the
Yeah.
beach.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pilot to Baywatch.
Yep. And
At least there was some TNA.
there. Yeah. And I don't think there's ever going to be any more like that. So we'll be back for episode 1. That's going to be on TV. It's like we got it. We got the show. Episode 1.
Now they've got the show. This convinced some fucking studio. This is evidence, bar none, of like how fucking horribly fucking dumb and what horrible taste studio executives have.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
all of our favorite writers have always been telling us this ever since, like Animaniac. I mean, every like cartoon we grew up with, like with making jokes about TV writers or
Yeah.
TV execs. Everyone always makes fun of TV execs.
Right.
The fact that they fucking picked this shit up. But oh my god,
It's a smart business
it's
choice.
fucking proof of but what you just said at the beginning of this about how it being Guinness Book of World Records viewership, I guess just destroys my point and proves that the execs are geniuses for picking this up.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
their goal is to make money.
But that's why it's funny, is because it's art, and I mean, and I think that's why it's relevant to what we're talking about today, because, we're in the era of Marvel and Star Wars, and art is a very big business, and how is it just going to make money and that's all? It doesn't matter if it's even cohesive or planned out. It just has to make money. And so it's almost like a little bit of the reflection
And
of that.
this thing seems
then.
like it was written with that mindset
Yeah.
in it already. Like we're saying, like it's written like what is a TV show? What is a TV show that people watch?
Right,
and that people
right.
will want to watch, and that people will pay to watch.
It's this and this and this and this and this.
Okay,
Throw
we'll
it
have
all
to
in.
have yeah, we'll throw in little tits. We'll throw in some child ex-wife drama.
Yeah.
We'll throw in a lawyer.
It's
who's
not
also,
because someone has a passion to tell a story. It's because someone wants to make a TV show. You know what I
yes,
mean?
to
Like,
prove that they can and to show how awesome lifeguarding is.
so on their
and
Wikipedia, they can say, "Then I became a writer of a television series."
After I got done with journalism school and was journalisting for a while.
Oh, great.
Yes, old Greg. All right, so we'll
All right,
see
Bill.
what Greg has in store for us on the first official television episode of Baywatch next week.
Next time on Baywatch.
On the Baywatch Watch. Maybe
Bye.
that will be the name. Who knows? Tune in next week
And
to
see if we
find out what
change
the
the
name
name.
of this podcast is.
All right. Ending recording stopped.
Oh, sir. Just one more thing.
At Baywatching P on Twitter, at Baywatching Podcast on Instagram. Bye.